Diane, take us on to some better things. And you've been visiting County Durham show.
Yeah. So over the weekend, I attended the Wolsingham show, which, according to their website, is County Durham's biggest and best open air show, and also England's oldest. So it was over the weekend, as I said, and I want to take you through some good and bad parts of it. So I want to do a few things here with this. First of all, I just have some images we'll go through quickly of things I took that I saw when I was there, just to kind of lift things up a bit. There's some giant tortoises that were near the entrance to the show. We have, of course, the usual sort of horses, horse riding, horse shows, goat shows, sheep, all of those sort of farm animals, things that you would expect to see at a country show. It was particularly interesting to see the tractor races and the tractor pulls and watching all that CO2 being emitted up into the sky. We had vintage tractors, so lots of tractors, lots of old cars, again, lots of CO2 emissions taking place, I'm sure. Of course, you can't have a country show without guns. So here's a rifle range, Bolt and Branch. There was a very small gun display from what I understand. I didn't go into that one, but that's what I heard. Up here was a man drawing tractors. So it's nice to see people doing something artistic. And he was selling some of the work for sale there right behind him. And I really enjoyed seeing some of the local crafts, because it was all things based here in County Durham in the Northeast. Jewelry, different kinds of crafts. This was sea glass, which is famous in the area because that can be found on the shore. Ugly pots. We also have as well, these were just a couple that decided to start this business to create these ugly pots that were for sale with different things on them. There were some bands that we enjoyed listening to. This was the Bebops. Somebody called her in the audience, somebody said, "Oh, this is the Dolly Parton of the Northeast." She was actually quite spirited. Enjoyed that as well. These were some Christmas crafts. So we had the craft shows on display, people, different people of all ages making crafts and having those judged. I bought a couple of local foods. I guess you could say this is local honey from bees that it's been distributed and made in County Durham. Because I left the dogs alone all day, I felt really guilty about that. So I bought them some premium dog treats that were local as well. So they got venison, duck, and pheasant and partridge. They've enjoyed the pheasant and partridge so far today. And again, it gets a bit dystopian here. This was a display from a security company that showed these kind of robot-looking things, which really didn't seem to fit in with the overall good feelings that were at the show. But that was something that they were trying to sell, I guess, for security equipment for your farm. I'm not entirely sure. I didn't talk to anyone, but this was a piece of artwork showing all of the rubbish. This was done by some Cubs in, I forget which school it was, somewhere here in the Northeast, where they're making artwork out of rubbish. So there's, I guess, some sustainable development goals, things going on there. This was displayed from the Farming of the Future from the UK government's Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs. And so they had a lot of information that they're on display. I picked up several of their cards. Maybe I can talk about this some more in extra. But one in particular was them showing that, what are we going to do about 2030? That's coming up. So we see as well here in another booth, we have no farmers, no food, no future. Now half price was £50, now 25. But back in the farming booth there, we had cards out saying, asking, what do you hope the farming sector will look like by 2030? And that was a card that I took a photo of, and people were asked to respond to that by putting in their responses to say, well, this is what we think it will look like. So we'll talk about that some more in extra. But I just want to say that, it was interesting to think about how much fun that was, but that ultimately, as I heard somebody comment, if the people in power have their way, these kinds of shows would no longer exist, because these kinds of things won't be allowed to be happening anymore, especially when it comes to farms and just families having a good time and enjoying local ingredients. So we need to keep these things going, Brian.
Absolutely. And it's very interesting to see that government policies are brought right into these sorts of rural shows in order to help mold people's opinions. And as we discussed prior to the news in the question, if I bring this one just up on screen, it's asking, what do you hope the farming sector will look like by 2030? So as usual, nothing about the present and getting on with life and making the best of each day and producing food on a daily basis. This is all drifting people's minds into utopia in the future. But great to see that farming and rural communities still alive and well. And as you say, Diane, a very, very important part of our culture, and we all need to help support it. Now, before we finish today, we're just going to show a little clip. This was amusing in my eyes, but this is Sky Australia commenting on the illustrious Mr. Lammy.
People here might not know David Lammy. David Lammy is the new
I know David Lammy.
Deputy Prime Minister. Now, David Lammy has never been known as a great, shall we say, intellectual genius of London political circles. This footage of him on a celebrity quiz show has just emerged.
It's great.
Just have a look.
Yeah.
Play along.
It's probably the case that only that trans women don't have ovaries, but a cervix, I understand, is something that you can have following various procedures and hormone treatment.
And there's also been other clips of him where he went on a quiz show, and he didn't know that Tony Soprano was in The Sopranos. He thought that they were that it was The Godfather and a whole bunch of other things. And he also once, even when they were trying to find a new pope, and the BBC tweeted about, will there be black smoke or white smoke, which is, of course, how the Vatican announces the vote has been successful, said, do we have to make this a racial thing? That's how dumb he is.
Yeah. Dumb and being mocked overseas. And Diane, let's finish on the government's alert system. I think we should have the alert system warning about the government, but what did you get?
Yeah, so I'm not sure how many people experienced the warning alerts that came out yesterday at 3 p.m. This first started, I believe it was in 2022. I think is what Kenny reminded me of. And so this was back when we were supposed to be scared 3 years ago. At the time, I turned off the extreme and the severe alerts on my phone, and they're still off to this day. But this was from earlier this year, from January, saying that at some point this year, we were going to have the Armageddon alert that will override millions of Brits' phones and trigger a loud siren, and what to do if you're driving, because apparently it was going to be so scary that if you were driving, you might actually crash your car. So for those of you who may have experienced this on Sunday, I know some people had a really loud sound. Brian, I know you said yours was quieter, but this was from GB News on Facebook that I saw alerting us what was going to happen over the weekend, saying that this emergency alert could trigger heart attacks days before the alarm was set to sound on our phones. So I know some people have been turned off, some people didn't get them. And so, Brian, you said yours was nice and pleasant. So I would like to hear what yours sounded like, because that's not what I heard from everyone.
Well, Diane, mine was just a melodic ringtone. I mean, if it had been a real crisis and nuclear war, it would have been quite amusing to hear this soft music and then suddenly somebody saying you've all been bombed to pieces. But the whole thing is sheer madness, and nobody should pay any attention. It is all designed to ramp up the fear so that the government can introduce the sorts of mad policies which we've covered on today's news. So let's leave it there. Diane, thank you very much for joining me. Ben, great to have you here in the studio. Huge thank you to everybody who's joined us today, wherever you are in the world. And finally, once again, thank you all so very much for the fantastic support you've all given the UK column. And it's going to be great to move on from 2025 into exciting things in 2026. For today, that's the news. Thank you for joining us. If you're a member of UK Column, stay with us. We'll have UK Column Extra in just a few moments. Bye-bye.